Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with random reviews from the Overflow Room. Whoops. Got the stick involved there. Oh well. Okay, so we're still working our way through the weird P's. These strange P people, the little letters in the middle. Oh, if I got some weird stuff here, let me tell you. Okay, we begin, we're the PEs, with George Perle. Here he is. George Perle was an interesting composer. He really was. He's best known, actually, as the author of two tremendous studies on the operas of Alban Berg, one Wozzeck, the other Lulu. But he also is a composer. He was a 12-tone guy, I mean, completely, more or less. But he actually cared about audiences, and he was concerned about trying to show that 12-tone music could be approachable and tolerable. It was an experiment that didn't really work terribly well, to be honest. I saw a performance of, his short symphony, I believe it was called, yes, or something like that, in Tanglewood at one point, during the summer. I mean, it's listenable music, very, very well crafted, and it isn't obnoxious. I mean, it's not. You can enjoy it for what it is. And there are two discs of stuff that I have sitting down here. One of these is on Nonsuch. Yes, the Serenade No. 3 for piano and chamber orchestra, which has some wonderful pieces. There's an elegy in memory of Balanchine here that's really quite affecting. His Ballade and the Concertino for piano, winds, and timpani. Richard Good is the pianist. He's marvelous with the Music Today Ensemble under Gerard Schwartz. I mean, it's not going to get better played than you're going to hear here, and it's wonderfully well recorded. I think most of his works, at least the ones that I've heard, and I've heard quite a few, tend to be concise. And maybe that's one of the ways that he sort of made his music more palatable. It doesn't outstay its welcome. It really doesn't. Then we have Sinfonietta 2, Concerto No. 1 for piano and orchestra, which is a major work. It's a big piece in 4 movements with Michael Boriskin. The Adagio for orchestra. This is also the Seattle Symphony and Jerry Schwartz. And then we've got 3 movements for orchestra from 1960 with the Royal Philharmonic and David Epstein. So these are interesting discs from a composer who really cared about, the place of modern music, in our concert life, and who wanted people to be able to enjoy it. And, whether you will or not is up to you. But he's somebody worth considering, encountering and give him a listen. He had a style. He did. Then we've got, this is fun. Stephen Perillo. These are on Centaur. I mean, Centaur is a label where you pay to play. The artist brings the production to the label. The label, you pay the label makes the CDs and distributes the CDs. And Centaur has all kinds of interesting stuff as a result of that. Some of it's wonderful. Some of it is about what you'd expect from people who simply have some cash but not a lot of talent. So Stephen Perillo is the son of Mario Perillo of Perillo Tours. He used to do a lot of television advertising around the Northeast, in my, younger days. It was a company that arranged package tours of Italy. And that's what they sold, package tours of Italy. And he was also a composer. So he started doing advertisements after his father passed away, and he took over the family business, as far as I know. And I had some communication with him back and forth because he writes fun, entertaining music. I mean, it really is charming. I mean, a lot of his music, it's just characterful and funny. And he's a little bit like Peter Schickele. Peter Schickele's serious music, which could also be just as funny as his PDQ Bach stuff. It's music with humor, and he's not trying to be pretentious or anything like that. Anyway, there are 2 discs of his stuff. First, we have Napoli. Well, he should know because he does tours of Italy, right? His Piano Concerto No. 1, which is delightful and really ought to be heard once in a while. The Hangoverture. Well, that's cute. And the Antique Suite. Trills, spring, canzone, arpeggios, and a waltz at the end. Really, really charming stuff. He's got the St. Petersburg Festival Orchestra under Yuval Waldman conducting, whoever that is. which also becomes on disc number 2, the Russian Festival Orchestra under Yuval Waldman. So we've got his Lullaby for Orchestra, a piece called Crushed Tomatoes, another wonderfully Italian themed work. You take your crushed tomatoes and he makes sauce with them. And then the Requiem for a Goldfish, which is incredibly moving, and his Brass Symphony. These were recorded in 1997 and 1998. And I remember, these are reviewed at, I think some of these are reviewed on Classics Today. I think they are. And it was right at the beginning of ClassicsToday.com, frankly. I really remember discovering these and finding him to be a really fresh and charming voice. It was very, very refreshing. You know, it's always refreshing when you hear somebody who's got a sense of humor, who doesn't, compose with pretentiousness, who just wants you to have a good time and knows what he's doing. And Stephen Perillo does. So that was fun. And then, Pergolesi. Well, there's a lot more Pergolesi out now than there used to be. I mean, it used to be that the only way we knew Pergolesi was from his Stabat Mater, or because Stravinsky, supposedly filched his music for Pulcinella, although he really didn't. Most of it was not Pergolesi. And so I was very curious. Particularly, I was curious about getting the original source material for Pulcinella, and then I realized that most of it was actually by Domenico Galla, not by Pergolesi at all. But there was a disc on L'Oiseau Lyre with Hogwood that actually had Pulcinella plus some of the original pieces that went into Pulcinella. So that was interesting. But here we have the Stabat Mater and Orfeo, the cantata, with the Camerata Budapest under Michael Halas, with Julia Faulkner and Anna Gonda, and it's lovely, it's perfectly fine. And here we have some other orchestral works, they're instrumental works by Pergolesi. This is on the Bon Giovanni label. I mean, you just couldn't find any back in the day. This was recorded in 1990. And so you've got, the sonatas, some sonatas and some trio sonatas and a little concerto. And, he was only 26 when he died. And so much of the material was attributed to him, and nobody knows if he really wrote it or didn't write it. So this was it. This was sort of Pergolesi for a long time. I mean, there was always more. But what I mean was, it was really very, very little systematically. I mean, he wrote big Baroque operas and things like that. Now that stuff's all available. It's all been recorded. But back in the day, when I was assembling the Overflow Room, back in the dawn of time, this is 1994 and 1990, it was hard. And so this is the origins of Pergolesi on disc, more or less. I mean, aside from the Stabat Mater, like I said, and there may be a couple other things. La Serva Padrona, or whatever that other thing was that he wrote. I don't know. Anyway, there we have it. Just not a lot of discs, but actually 2 and 2, 6 discs, 2 Perles, 2 Perillas, and 2 Pergolesis. Keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me. Take care. And don't worry, Penderecki's coming, and he's going to have a little bit more substance in terms of number of discs. Bye-bye.